You know that feeling when you and your partner both got promotions, your household income jumped by $20,000, but somehow you have less money in your bank account than you did 5 years ago. You are not losing your mind. You are caught in something I call the two-income trap, and it is quietly draining the financial life out of millions of families who think they are doing everything right. I spent years obsessing over why so many dual-income households feel broker than their single-income parents did in the 1970s. The math didn't make sense. 2 paychecks should equal more security, more savings, more breathing room. Instead, I kept seeing couples making 6 figures who couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency. That is when I discovered the brutal truth. The second income is doubling your wealth. It is creating a financial illusion that is costing you everything. Here is what is actually happening. When families went from 1 income to 2, something sneaky occurred in the economy. Housing prices, childcare costs, healthcare, and education expenses didn't just increase a little. They exploded to absorb that second income. It is like the entire economic system detected extra money in your household and immediately raised prices to capture it. Researchers found that between 1970 and 2000, the median home price increased by over 70% after adjusting for inflation, while wages barely kept pace. But here's the kicker. This increase happened precisely because families could now bid against each other with 2 incomes instead of 1. Think about it this way. Imagine you are at an auction for houses in a good school district. In 1970, families could bid with 1 income. The winning bid might be 3 times one person's annual salary. Now everyone shows up with 2 incomes, and suddenly families can bid 5 or 6 times a single salary because they recombining 2 paychecks. The house doesn't get better, the neighborhood doesn't improve, but the price skyrockets because the buying power in the room doubled. You are not wealthier. You are just in a more expensive bidding war. Let me show you exactly how this plays out in real life. Sarah and Mike are both teachers making $45,000 each, bringing home $90,000 combined before taxes. Sounds solid, right? They bought a house for $350,000, which seemed reasonable with 2 incomes. Their mortgage eats $2,200 monthly. They need childcare for 2 kids because both parents work. That is another $2,000. Sarah's car payment is $400 because she needs reliable transportation to get to work. Mike's is $350 for the same reason. Add insurance, gas, work clothes, eating out because they both exhausted from working, and suddenly that second income isn't padding their savings. It is barely covering the costs created by having that second income. Here is the comparison that made my jaw drop. Sarah's parents bought their house in 1985 for $90,000 when her dad made $35,000 as the sole earner. That house cost 2.6 times his annual salary. Sarah and Mike's house cost 3.9 times their combined income. Even with 2 incomes, they actually in a worse position. And if either one loses their job, they immediately underwater. Because their entire lifestyle requires both paychecks just to break even. Now look at David, a single guy making $55,000. He rents a modest apartment for $1,200 monthly. No childcare costs. He takes the bus, so no car payment. He meal preps on Sundays. His expenses are lean because his life is structured around 1 income. He saves $800 every month. Meanwhile, Sarah and Mike, making $90,000 together, save maybe $200 on a good month. David will have nearly $10,000 saved by year's end. Sarah and Mike will have $2,400 if nothing goes wrong, which it always does. The numbers get even more disturbing when you factor in risk. A single-income household with one person making $60,000 and substantial savings has a buffer. If that person loses their job, they have time to find another one. But a dual-income household making $90,000 with both incomes locked into fixed expenses. Lose one job and you are in crisis mode immediately. You can cut the mortgage in half. You still need childcare if the working parent keeps their job. The car payments don't toss. Research shows that dual-income families file for bankruptcy at rates twice as high as single-income households did a generation ago, despite making more money on paper. Let me hit you with another example that shows how insidious this trap really is. Jennifer and Tom combined make $120,000. They thought they were being smart by buying a modest house, but it still cost them $2,800 monthly. Both their jobs are 30 minutes away, so they need 2 cars. That is $700 in payments plus $300 in insurance. Their kids are in activities because, honestly, when both parents work full time, you need somewhere safe for kids to be after school. That is another $400. They are spending roughly $5,500 monthly on expenses that exist primarily because they both work. Jennifer brings home about $3,800 after taxes and deductions, so her entire paycheck plus $1,700 from Tom's income just covers the costs of her working. She is effectively working full time to break even. I know what you are thinking, but Danny, what is the alternative? We can survive on one income in today's economy, and I hear you. That is the trap talking. That is the system convincing you that you have no choice, so you stay on the hamster wheel. But here's what nobody tells you. The reason you can't survive on one income is because your expenses expanded to require 2 incomes. It is circular logic that keeps you stuck. You might also be thinking this sounds great in theory, but you've already got the mortgage, the cars, the lifestyle that needs 2 incomes. You can't just quit a job and hope it works out. You are absolutely right. This is about making rash decisions. It is about understanding the trap so you can start making different choices that lead you out of it. Small shifts create big changes over time. Here is what you can actually do starting today, even if you are deep in the 2-income trap. First, calculate your real second income profit. Take that second paycheck and subtract every expense that exists because of that job. Childcare, the second car payment and insurance, gas, work clothes, convenience food, higher tax bracket costs, everything. Many families discover that second income nets them less than $10,000 annually after real costs. Some discover it is actually costing them money when you factor in stress, health impacts, and missed opportunities to reduce expenses. Second, start aggressively reducing your fixed costs, especially housing. I know you love your house, but if your mortgage or rent requires 2 full incomes to sustain, you are one job loss away from disaster. Begin researching smaller homes, different neighborhoods, or even different cities where housing costs less. You don't have to move tomorrow, but having a backup plan gives you options. Some families have cut their housing costs by 40% by moving 20 minutes further from the city center. That single change can free up an entire income. Third, eliminate the second car if remotely possible. I am not saying it is easy, but 1 car payment, insurance, gas, and maintenance typically runs $600 to $900 monthly over 5 years. That is $36,000 to $54,000. Could one partner bike, bus, or carpool? Could you work different shifts and share one vehicle? Could one person find remote work? Every creative solution you find here directly converts to savings because you are not just cutting an expense, you are cutting an expense that only exists to support earning money. Fourth, build your escape fund before you need it. Even if that second income nets you almost nothing after expenses, redirect whatever left into a dedicated savings account. Your goal is 12 months of bare minimum living expenses. This fund is ET for vacations or purchases. It is your freedom fund. It is what allows one partner to potentially step back, retrain for better pay, or weather a job loss without panic. Start with whatever you can, even if it is just $100 monthly. The account balance matters less than building the habit and mindset. Fifth, question every expense through the lens of the trap. Before any purchase or commitment, ask yourself, does this require us to maintain 2 incomes, a bigger house, private school, expensive activities, luxury cars? These aren't just purchases. They read chains that lock both incomes into the system. Every time you choose a lower cost option, you are buying yourself flexibility and freedom. The family driving 10-year-old paid-off cars instead of new leases has options the other family doesn't. Here is what most people miss about the two. Income trap. It is not really about the income. It is about fixed expenses rising to consume whatever you make. The system is designed to extract maximum revenue from households, and it does that by normalizing a lifestyle that requires every dollar you can possibly earn. Two incomes done to make you twice as wealthy. They make you twice as trapped because now you have twice the job dependency with the same or less financial security. The families who escape this trap share one thing in common. They consciously design their lives to run on less than they make, ideally on one income or 1.5 incomes, while banking the rest. They buy houses they can afford on one salary. They minimize childcare by working opposite shifts or having family help. They drive used cars. They live in less trendy neighborhoods. And here is what happens. They build real wealth. They have emergency funds. They sleep at night. They have the freedom to make career changes or take risks because their survival is tied to both paychecks arriving every 2 weeks. I've watched families implement these principles and completely transform their financial lives within 2 years. Not by making more money, but by restructuring their expenses so the money they make actually belongs to them instead of automatically flowing to mortgages, car loans, and childcare centers. The relief they feel when they realize one partner could stop working tomorrow and they'd be fine, that is what financial security actually feels like. Not a big number in your 401k that you can touch for 30 years. Real tangible security that exists right now. The most powerful shift happens in your mindset. Once you see the trap, you can't unsee it. You start recognizing how every advertisement, every lifestyle comparison, every societal expectation is designed to push you further into it. Buy the bigger house in the better school district, lease new cars every 3 years, keep up with what everyone else has, and suddenly you need both incomes just to maintain what everyone told you that you should want. But you start asking, do I actually want this? Or do I want the freedom and security that comes from needing less? This isn't about deprivation or going backward. It is about recognizing that the game changed without anyone telling you the new rules. Your parents could support a family on one income. Not because that income was higher, but because expenses were lower relative to earnings. You can create that same ratio by controlling your expenses instead of maximizing your income. One approach leaves you stressed, stretched, and stuck. The other gives you options, savings, and peace of mind. Look, I get it. Everything I am describing goes against what society tells you success looks like. You are supposed to want the big house, the new cars, the lifestyle that showcases your dual income status. But I am obsessed with finding what actually works, not what looks good on social media. And what actually works is living below your means, minimizing fixed costs, and building real financial security that doesn't evaporate the moment one paycheck stops. The two income trap is real, it is powerful, and it is keeping millions of families broke despite making good money. But here is the hope. Once you understand how it works, you can start making different choices. Small decisions today, like choosing the cheaper house or keeping your old car another year, compound into massive freedom down the road. You are not stuck. You just need to see the trap clearly so you can navigate your way out. If this resonates with you, if you are tired of making decent money but feeling broke, start implementing even one of these strategies this week. Calculate what that second income really nets after all costs. You might be shocked. And if this helped you see your finances differently, share it with someone else who is caught in the trap. We've been conditioned to think 2 incomes equals security, but the math tells a different story. It is time we started listening to the numbers instead of the marketing. Your future self, the one with actual savings and real options, will thank you for seeing through the illusion today.